As you know, the deadline for submission of full applications is 15th of November until 4 p.m. Central European Time. You may ask questions no later than 1st of... Sorry? Do you see the PowerPoint presentation? Okay, thank you. Questions?
Oh, good.
Great. Questions may be sent no later than 1st of November, and replies will be given no later than 8th of November. We will not give individual replies. By collected questions and answers will be published on Seldi and MCIC website, like in the concept note phase. For submission of full applications, you should complete the submit on the platform full application form, project budget in Excel format, indicative work plan, legal entity form for applicant and co-applicant in case you have a partner organization, and financial identification form of the lead applicant with bank detail information. Like in the previous process, full applications should be submitted electronically on Grants MK platform. For Macedonian organizations, please remember to use the English version of the platform. We had difficulties in the concept note phase as well when applicants try to use the Macedonian interface. So just take in mind that you use the English version of the platform. You should log in with the same credentials, like you using your profile names and passwords you created for the concept note phase. The call on the platform is already visible as financial support for grassroots and youth CSOs with outreach to citizens, full application in brackets. Templates of the required documents are available for download on the platform. You can fill in all information and simply attach the documents. It's a simple process. Applicants must apply in English. Handwritten applications are not accepted. You should follow the instruction given in the form, including structure and word limit. And you should indicate the reference number that you have in your notification letters. I have few screenshots. You remember the Grant MK platform. It would be simpler than in the previous phase because you have already passed the registration and providing all necessary information. You will see the call and you create your project application, giving project title and project reference number. And then the window with documents will be open where you will see where you can download and attach the documents required. And then you just submit the application. For any technical questions or problems, difficulties in applying, you should contact support@grants.mk. They're the technical support contact point. In case you can add us in CC just to be aware if you're experiencing any problems, but they are the one that are responsible for resolving everything that is with the platform. At the end, I would like to thank you for your dedication in this process, and I wish you a productive and insightful training session. So with this, I will now hand over the floor to Sunčica. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmina. It's my pleasure to be able to cooperate with Seldi program for the first time. Although I have long-term cooperation with MCIC. Actually, I have started in MCIC and I was part of the MCIC team for 11 years. Later on, I was responsible for the Taxo project in Macedonia. And after that, I'm still with CSOs, cooperating a lot with many different CSOs in Macedonia and regionally. Areas of my interest are strategic planning and project management. And in that role, I'm today here at this training course. At the beginning, I also want to congratulate all participants for being successful in the first stage with their concept notes. You have all completed very important step, but it is already behind you and you need to focus to another crucial step in this process, preparing the full application. And I hope that this training today will help you in that process as well. At the beginning, I want to start with the training objectives and the agenda. I assume that you have already saw the agenda, but let's go briefly through this in order for you to be able or to know what to expect. What are the objectives? I'm using the terminology that should be used in the full application form. So what are the specific objectives of this training? We hope that at the end of this course, you will have improved understanding on the broader frame of this call for proposals. Then you will understand the main requirements of the call, and more importantly, how to match your proposal with those requirements. Then you will understand the evaluation procedure and the main criteria for evaluation of your full proposal. You will be able to create logical structure of the proposal, for which we will look at some concrete practical tools. You will be able to define smart indicators, which are also required in the full application. You can improve your writing process and have idea how to improve your writing style. As a result, we expect that with this, the impact that we will achieve with this training, you will feel more confident in writing the full application, and you will enjoy the whole process of writing the proposal. And about the agenda is structured in 3 sessions. In this first session, our main focus will be guidelines for applicants. And here I also prepared a short presentation about shortcomings that were identified in the concept notes. So based on that, you will know where you should improve your application. Then in the second session, we will discuss about how better to structure your project, including developing your project strategy and logic of intervention, where I prepared also individual exercises. And then in that session, we will also discuss about formulating indicators, sources of verification, and monitoring. In the last session, we are going to I will provide you step-by-step guidance for filling the application form, and we will discuss each section of the application form. And at the end, there is a short presentation with some tips how to improve your writing style. That is our plan. We have 2 breaks. First it will be shorter for coffee, and the second larger for lunch break. Concerning how we are going to work, I will really encourage you to be active during the sessions and ask questions. Whatever is unclear for you or have any dilemmas, please feel free to ask because I prepared really short presentations in order to leave more space for discussion and questions. I would also ask you to turn on your cameras, since we will spend almost half of the day together, so it will be easier to communicate if you have your cameras on. And please be on time for the next sessions, so we stick to the agenda. Okay. Are there any questions related how we are going to work today, what you can expect, or maybe to raise some important topic that you think is not enough covered, and maybe we can introduce during the day? As Jasmina mentioned, everything that is related with preparing the budget will be covered on separate sessions. So today, our focus is the full application. Okay, it seems everything is clear. Then we can continue, and As usually, we need to introduce ourselves. For that reason, I have planned short group exercise where we will divide in probably 3 groups. And in these 3 groups, you can introduce with other participants and discuss based on your understanding of the guidelines for applicant. You should discuss and agree on 3 things which you consider are most important or crucial for your applications to be successful. When I'm saying 3 things, think of anything you relate with a successful full application. Either characteristics of the full application, criteria that full application should fulfill, or writing style, or anything you think would be important. Okay, that will be your task. And before I divide you in groups, I also want to share, I will share in chat template in which you will report from your group work. Okay. Okay. Could not be sent, I don't know why. Okay, now should be successful. Could you check in chat whether you have received the document? You have it. Okay, then we can go in groups. I will form three groups automatically, and you will have 10 minutes to discuss, to introduce yourself, to fill in the table with names, organizations you are representing, and then decide on 3 conclusions, joint conclusions from the group. What are the most important things or characteristics that full application should satisfy? Okay, and then decide who will report in the plenary. Let's create the breakout rooms.
Irena, do you have any problem joining a group?
Okay, we are all back in the plenary, or we are missing someone? I think we are all back. Hmm. Okay, now we can share what you have discussed in the smaller groups. Who wants to start? Hmm? Okay, John Rakipi.
Hi everyone, John here from AIIS, the Albanian Institute of International Studies. Should we just send this in the group chat or am I reading it out?
You can share. You can have share screen if
Okay,
we can all see the conclusions.
let's
And
see.
who are members of your group also, to introduce the members.
Can you see this?
Yes?
Yes, you can do it.
Okay, perfect. I'll zoom in a little bit. These are our group members,
Mm-hmm.
is that right?
Okay, Zoran
Youth
from Youth
Council,
Council Prilep.
yes, Multus, we have Bosco, and Voice of Roma, 2 persons, and myself.
Mm-hmm. Just to ask, Multus is from which country?
Not too sure.
Oshko?
From Macedonia. From Macedonia.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
Да.
So Macedonia and Albania.
that's right. That's right. So we have three things which we agreed on were the most important for the organization. These are in no particular order, but they're all, I guess, equally important. Starting with implementation capacity of the organization, because we thought you might have a great idea, but if you don't have the people in the field to work it out, if your activities are kind of unreachable, you don't match what your organization can do, then it's kind of meaningless, right? So we put a very important one. Of course, topic relevance is another one that is crucial because people are, they're giving grant money for a specific objective, right? And if the impact of your project is not in line with expectations, then that can be trouble. So that was our second one, being in line with objectives of the call for proposals. And at the end, we had sustainability, long-term success of the project. Because your project is only live for 1 year, then it's not really having its intended impact. I mean, the whole reason why we put smart indicators in the project is so that we can kind of evaluate how things are going. And, you know, these are crucial things, long-term success. Otherwise, the work is kind of without so much meaning, I would say. And those are our...
Okay. Okay, great. All these three are actually a part of the evaluation criteria. Implementing capacity of the organization is something that will be evaluated. Topic relevance was already evaluated in the concept note. And sustainability, you have one separate section in the full application form also. Great. Thank you very much. Second group or other group? Anna?
Okay, sorry, we can go next. I'll share my screen now.
Okay.
Can you see it all right?
Yes.
Yes,
Please
okay,
introduce the
so
participants.
yes, the participants of my group were Rushdie and Ivana from ZIP Institute, myself from the Association Aqua, and Teisa from the Altri Center. And based on our discussion, we decided on three main things that would be crucial for the application to be successful. First of all, meeting the criteria of the project as well as the background of the activity. In terms of, first of all, meeting the criteria that is relevant for the call and having the background of our activities matching that criteria for the background of the project. As John suggested, just adding up to their work, having everything to be compatible with alongside each other. So the idea of the Seldi grants with the ideas of our individual projects to be in coordination with one another. Secondly, the relevance of the project, both in terms of the call, but also in terms of the local issues that we are addressing for the project to be relevant to the main goal that we are trying to reach. And finally, the sustainability of the project. As we discussed with our group, it is not important to only have a project that would end after the grant money is used up, but to also give some long-term impact that can further on be developed either through other projects or to leave an impact to the community and raise awareness about the issues that are being worked on through the individual grants, but also through the Seldi program.
Okay, great. Thank you, Anna. Actually, very similarly to the previous group, your
Yes.
conclusion. Okay, thank you. Then the third group, who will present from the third group?
Hi, sorry, I just have to turn on my camera. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I will present. So we didn't actually wrote those things in the Word document. I was just writing it now, so I haven't finished. But yeah, I can read it if it's okay. And if we have to write it down in the document, I can send it later.
It's fine. Would you like also to introduce the participants of the group?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I will introduce. We discussed and everything, but I don't have it like in a Word document. So I have it like written down. Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Isidora, and I represent Perpetuum Mobile Institute for Youth and Development, Community Development from Banja Luka, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Also in my group, we have Maja Stanica from a pet organization, Amila Tatarevic from Association Baby Steps. We also have wait just a second. Olgica Naumovska from I think like ecological group, or I'm sorry, like I can't. Okay. Yes, Olgica. We have Loreta Georgieva from Foundation of Leadership Opportunities, Learning and Innovation. And yeah, that's it. So basically, we also discussed about the goals, and they are mostly similar to the ones you discussed earlier with the other groups. So our goals were, okay, so the most important thing were our goals and the goals of Seldi have to align to be basically the same, actually. We have to make our application good enough to actually align with the Seldi goals that you actually mentioned in the application form. Then also for us, the target groups and beneficiaries are very important too. So the people who will be included and that we will actually include in our projects and that will have some benefits from it. And also the results, like what are the main results and main goals of our project. But so basically, yeah, those are the three goals, that our goals and goals of Seldi have to align, the target groups and beneficiaries, and the results of our project, the outcomes in general. So we discussed it like that. So I think it's pretty similar with the, yeah.
Yes, except of the target group.
We focused on target groups too.
Yeah. Okay. All these are really very important, and we will be coming again and again to these issues during the day today. either through the criteria should be satisfied, either through the format of the full application form. Let's now continue with my presentation.
Can you share your thoughts of what do you consider as the three most important, crucial actually aspects of the application? What would you use?
Yes, okay. There are more than three actually, but I limited.
So it was a tricky question.
Sorry?
It was a tricky question, so.
Yes, there are more than three, but in order not to make the group work too long, we needed to decide on the three. But yes, you are right. When you discussed in the groups, relating or it's called relevance of the project. This is the first thing, and if you notice in the concept note, that was something that was highly valued. Because you need to clearly relate your proposal with the requirements of the code. That is one of the most important things. Then to have clear intervention logic, meaning relation of the overall objective, specific objective, and results. Then realistic planning is also very important, and having realistic results. Have perspective on the sustainability is also important, although this is more important for longer term projects. For shorter term projects, evaluators are looking at the sustainability, but are not so critical on this issue, I would say. A selection of the target group is also something that is important. We will go now through the presentation, and you will see actually, and I will emphasize what are the important aspects of the proposal, and how you take care to prepare a better application in that regard. But before that, I want to share for you to be aware how your project will fit in the broader frame of Seldi program. If you are familiar with the project cycle, you know that there are actually 6 phases of the project cycle, and Seldi itself has gone through these phases of project management, starting from the programming phase, where a broader frame of the call is planned, including the topics that are going to be covered, areas, locations, and so on. Then identification phase, in which specific analysis of issues has been done, and then formulation, where more precise planning was performed, including definition of specific objectives, definition of results, and some technical issues like how many grants there will be, or the maximum budget for grants, duration of grants, and so on. And then next stage is financial decision, in stage in which many documents has been prepared, but the major one for you is the guidelines for applicants. Here is also a concept note. You have already prepared and have successful concept notes. We have here also full application form on which we should focus in the next period. And if you are successful in this second stage, you will sign a grant contract with Seldi. Signing the grant contract with the donor means that you are entering a partnership relations with the donor and actually you are becoming, I would say, right hand of the donor in the process of implementation of their program. Actually, by these 30 or 35 grants that will be successful will help Seldi to successfully implement their program. And then next step after you complete your projects is the evaluation phase, where they will check how successful together with you they have been in the implementation stage. By saying this, actually it's becoming obvious that it's very important for Seldi to select organizations that are qualified or capable of implementing those things that they are proposing. And one of the groups was talking about organizational capacities, but also to implement projects that are in line with priorities of Seldi. And now what is the challenge? Actually, in parallel to the project cycle of Seldi, you have your own organizational and project cycle, where you are having your own vision, mission. You are having your own identification process of the issues you want to focus. You are also planning in this process, and the idea is to relate all this with the priorities of the Seldi. That is the challenge, actually. While you are writing the proposal, you need to find, I would say, perfect fit or perfect match of your ideas or of your work with the priorities of the call. And in that case, we can discuss about win-win situation. You are still sticking to the mission of your organization, implementing things that are your priority, and at the same time, you are fulfilling the goals of Seldi program. Only in that case, we can discuss about successful applications and successful project that will be successfully implemented later on. So that is the thing we want to focus now, how we develop our current activities, current work, or our new ideas in order to fit within the frame given with the open call. And that's for the introduction. Do you have any comment or questions, or maybe disagreement with this? Okay. From the discussions also, I noted that you are completely aware, actually, that you should fit within the call for proposals, but be careful. You should still stay on the track of your mission, because otherwise it will be a project that is tailored to the donor needs, and donor will notice that, because as we mentioned, not only relevancy is not the only thing that is evaluated, but also capacities of the organization and capabilities, and including previous experience. And donor needs to relate what you are proposing now with what you have done so far as an organization. Now I want to open the guidelines for applicants and go through this document. Feel free to ask questions here. First, I want to ask you whether you have read this document. Yes?
Yes, we can see it.
I'm asking whether you have read it, actually, the document, the guidelines for...
yes, sorry.
Yes, we
When-
have.
Okay,
when we
I'm
prepared
sure
the
that,
call.
yes.
But maybe we
I'm
need a
sure
little
you-
reminding.
Sorry?
But maybe we need a little reminding because we read it when we prepared it the first time, but
Yes.
Yeah,
a little
definitely.
reminder won't be of harm.
Okay, that I wanted to say, even you have read it once again, and once again, and once again. Read it several times. And when you are writing the application, consult the guidelines for applicants also from time to time to check why it is important to read it several times. First, you will ensure that you won't miss something that is important. even something from technical nature. Then it will help you to understand better the Seldi requirements, and by understanding better, you will align your application form and your proposal and your writing style better to what is required. And also it will help you to get more familiar with the wording and keywords. So by reading the guidelines of applicants, you can identify which are the keywords and then use those keywords more in your application. That's why it is important to read it several times. And the document is 21 pages. I don't intend now to read it together, so many pages, but I wanted to emphasize a few sections of the guidelines for applicants. Everything is important there, but I wanted to focus on few issues. First here is highlighted in yellow with bold, is the overall objective of the Seldi program, saying that it seeks to strengthen participatory democracy and the EU approximation process through consolidating and enhancing the impact of civil society engagement in policy making and reform processes in the Western Balkan region in the area of anti-corruption, rule of law, and good governance. And then this statement is overall statement in which your project should fit in. And when you prepare your projects, you need to ask yourself whether your project is contributing to this, whether it is related with participatory democracy, EU approximation, anti-corruption, rule of law, and good governance. And if there is strong link to this, then you have good chances to be successful with the project. And then here is the section providing background information. You need to read this part, like, for example, specific needs of the region, in order to understand better the context in which your project will be implemented and the needs that your project should address, actually. So you need to read this section, and also, again, to get used to the keywords related to this call. And now we will go to the overall objectives of the call. Overall objective of the call is to support local CSOs in pursuing the EU and regional anti-corruption agenda in the target countries and in line with issues identified by the Seldi Regional Anti-Corruption Report, Seldi policy documents, and latest enlargement package reports for the target countries. So the idea is also, I'm emphasizing this in order to for you to be able to identify what are the other reference documents you need to read to. Have you read, for example, Seldi Regional Anti-Corruption Report or other Seldi policy documents or enlargement reports for your country? If you haven't done that, then you need to do it. You need to do it because you will improve in the part for the problem analysis, needs identification, something that is also evaluated with the full application form. So you need to go to these reference documents, and at the bottom of the page, you have links, and you can easily find these three documents to which you can make references, especially in the sections for relevance, for needs analysis and problem analysis. Okay. And then is the specific objective of the call, which says enhancing CSOs' professional capacities and skills to fight corruption, hold leaders and institutions accountable through evidence-based advocacy and engagement, to measure and expose corruption and state capture, and to formulate policy outputs.
So
So, is there any question? Okay, some noise behind. And then saying improved understanding and evaluation of policy, raised awareness, updated policy agendas, enforce relevant law. Your own objectives. You need to have your own objectives that relate with this, meaning that they should be put in the context of your problem analysis, in the context of your own country and situation in your country or situation of your target group you are covering with the projects. So it is not simply just taking the objectives from here and putting that in your proposal. You need to put that in the context. Okay. And then we can go further in the section of eligibility of projects, where you have a list of sectors or themes that should be covered with your projects, including corruption and state capture, anti-corruption policies, institutional practices, enforcement of law, judiciary and anti-corruption, corruption and hidden economy, civil society and in anti-corruption, media freedom and media capture. And then your project should fit in these topics or these sectors. So you should make it clear that you are covering something of these sectors. And there is a list of projects that are not eligible. Take care of this and to ensure that you won't fail in some of these categories, meaning that you should not plan individual sponsorships for participation in workshops or individual scholarships for studies or one-off conferences or one-time events or activities that are linked to political parties and so on. Read this list to ensure that that your activities are not are eligible actually. And then you also need to ensure that your proposals integrate gender perspective in the activities, and that should be also reflected in the indicators that you are going to define. And we are going to discuss 4 indicators in the second session. Are there any issues until now related with these parts of the guidelines for applicants?
For now, all good.
Okay, I'm just reminding you of important things. Then is the long list of activities that you can propose, and the list is not exhaustive, so you can even go with something else. And starting from case studies, research, analysis, public awareness, campaigns, monitoring and watchdog activities, participation in reform and policy making processes, advocacy and activities, and so on and so on. You can read that, but take care to check. And you can also get good ideas by reading these sections. You can have ideas what you can include in your project, and take care not to propose only one type of activity, but you need one coherent set of different activities that will ensure that your objectives and results are achieved. That is most important thing. To propose set of activities that will lead to achieving the results of the project and what you have defined. And for the location, you know that. Also, please take care not to foresee sub-granting. There were cases in the concept notes when such support was foreseen. This means that all activities should be implemented by you and your partner organization, or you need to have vendors or service providers that will implement the activities foreseen with the project. But you cannot provide grants to other organizations. And then is the section for eligibility of costs, which will be covered separately in the next session, in the separate session for the budget. And then is the section for how you apply. Yasmina already mentioned that you need to have completed 4 documents: full application form, project budget, indicative work plan, legal entity form for you and for the co-applicant, and financial identification form only for the lead applicant. Concerning these documents, you need to take care to stick to the foreseen formats. You have formats for all documents, so you need to keep strictly to this format and to provide all the required information in these documents, because these documents are used for the evaluation, and if the evaluation committee is missing some important information, then that could be a reason for rejecting the full application. So when you are preparing the full application form, please take care that all sections are completed and that relevant information is provided in each section. So not just completing it formally, but providing what is required in each section. And that is more or less I wanted to cover here. And of course, evaluation criteria, which we need to discuss. Let me share that. Okay. Evaluation criteria are integral part of the guidelines for applicants, but I prepared separate table for you where I have added separate column which relates relevant section of the application form with specific criteria. So by having this, we will share this after the training. By having this, you will know which criteria is covered in which section of the application. And now evaluation is something that is done when applications are submitted and so on. And one would ask why we would need to discuss the criteria now. If you prepare a good application, then good application is good application regardless of the criteria. Yes, but no, actually, because you need to read and to understand the evaluation criteria in order to provide sufficient details and sufficient arguments that are evaluated. That's why you need to understand first evaluation criteria and then write the text in the full application. And now let's see. What are the evaluation criteria? Under operational capacity, you see you can get maximum 10 points. And here are 2 aspects that are evaluated. One is in-house experience regarding project management, And another is in-house technical expertise, meaning your knowledge, understanding, and experience related to the issue that is covered with the proposal. So you should demonstrate that you know how to manage projects, but also you know the topic that is covered with the project. And this is something that you have already completed. And it is covered with a concept note where you submitted details about capacities of your organization, previous project experiences, and so on. So this part will be evaluated based on the concept note. Then second is relevance. This is also something that is behind us because that was evaluated in the concept note, and the score is transferred from the concept note evaluation. And I will note here that please be aware that most probably you do not have all 20 points here, because reading from the remarks from the evaluation committee, which we will discuss later, I noticed that there are many comments related with the relevance from their side. So take care that this is something maybe not highly evaluated so far. And then is the design of the action with total of 20 points. And the first criteria is how coherent is the design of the action. Does the proposal indicate expected results to be achieved, and how? Are the activities appropriate, practical, and consistent with the outputs and outcomes that you have planned? And actually, in few words, this criteria assesses or evaluates the project strategy and how you have designed your logic of intervention, or how overall objectives, specific objectives, and results are related. And you see, this is a very important criteria. That's why it is multiplied by 2. And relevant sections are 2.1 and 2.2 from the full application, although mostly 2.1 actually. Then is the criteria that evaluates whether you have clearly defined indicators to measure the achievements. And we will work on indicators later in the next session. Then the third criteria is whether the design reflects robust analysis of the problems involved and the capacities of relevant stakeholders. Here is the section where you can improve on the problem analysis and needs of the target country. And that's why I was referring to that to those reference documents when we were discussing about the guidelines for applicants. So take care that you improve the relevance part here with sound problem analysis, where you include proper arguments, proper data, references from research and analysis. Do you have any comments until now for the criteria or questions maybe? No. Okay, seems that these criteria are clear. And the next section is implementation approach, again with 20 points. Assessing, is the action plan for implementation clear and feasible, and is the timeline realistic? Again, this is multiplied with 2. Sections relevant are 2.2 and 2.3, where you are going to provide more detailed planning of activities and methodology that you are going to apply. Then next criteria, does the proposal include an effective and efficient monitoring and evaluation system? So there is separate section for monitoring in the 2.2 part of the application. And this is very much related with the indicators, how you have defined the indicators and planned sources of verification. The last criteria here is the co-applicant level of involvement and participation in the action satisfactory, meaning here involvement of the partner organization will be evaluated. And if you haven't planned planned partner organizations, then you will receive 5 points here. Then is the section for sustainability of the action, having 10 points maximum, and here are two aspects that are evaluated. Impact on the target group, so longer term impact on the target group is one thing, and another thing is whether there will be multiplying effects, including sharing of experience and knowledge. And the last one is the budget and cost effectiveness with 20 points. Each criteria is multiplied with 2. One thing that is evaluated how much activities are reflected in the budget, and what is the cost effectiveness of planned activities. And of course, there is a separate format for the budget, but also it is very important that the activities that are budgeted can be easily tracked and find in the full application form. So the evaluator should easily relate your narrative part with the items in the budget form, which is very important for this part and brings a lot in sense of points. So 100 points is total of you can get, of course. Okay, I will share this table later. Do you have any questions related with the evaluation criteria?
No.
No? Okay. Then we have also time to cover this short presentation about the remarks from the evaluation committee. Okay. And these are the shortcomings of the concept notes. I had also chance to look at about 10 proposals I have seen, and then looked carefully through the all comments of the evaluation committee. Of course, in the application, I put it those remarks that are most frequent. Not everything, but those that are noticed more often. First is related with the relevance. There were remarks that not all projects are completely relevant to the call to the priorities of the call, and also not completely relevant to the needs of the target country. And that's why I was referring frequently that you can improve this section with sound problem analysis. And then problem analysis with no supportive data and evidence. For example, problem analysis that is very general, needs are unclear or defined in general terms with not specific data or no references where data were get. So here you need to refer to some research, some analysis that is available concerning the issues you want to cover with your projects. Then there are remarks related with the project strategy. For example, saying incoherent logic of intervention and overlap of objectives and results. So specific objectives and results are very similar or overlap to each other. Then general and very wide objectives, unrealistic results, were also something that I saw frequently. Be careful, be realistic with the planning. Take care that your projects are up to 1 year. So you need to complete what you promise with your application. And that's why be, I would say, conservative in the planning. Then it is not clear how results will be achieved, or there is no clear connection with the activities. There is focus on only one type of activity. Or activities were not elaborated at all. There were some only list of activities. Now in the full application, you will need to provide more details for each of the activities. Then remarks related with the target group and final beneficiary, which were not clearly specifically defined. For example, no number of the target group or final beneficiaries, which is important to include. Then unclear description of the stakeholders and policy makers that are relevant for the issue. Then remarks related with the poor risk assessment, meaning that external factors that will influence your project were not properly evaluated or assessed and analyzed. And in some cases, when there were risk assessment, there were no mitigation measures for those identified risks, meaning that you need to have a plan B, how you are going to implement the project in case some of these risks became a reality. Then unrealistic or ambitious time frame, or project duration that was not in line with the requirements. It shouldn't be shorter than 9 months and longer than 12 months. So take care of this. There were also application where co-funding was not planned. It is required. Minimum 10% is required co-funding. And I already mentioned proposals where re-granting was planned, which is also not allowed. So these are the remarks. And the good thing is that we can improve a lot regarding these issues. And actually, the structure of the next session is related with the weaknesses of the concept nodes, mainly intervention logic, and also indicators, which is a very important part also for the full application. So do you have any question now before we go for a break? Comment? Are you satisfied? Are you surprised with the remarks of the evaluation committee, or can you relate your concept note with some of the weaknesses identified? Can you recognize some of these weaknesses in your concept notes or no? Any reaction?
Sometimes, sometimes I confuse objectives with outcomes. I don't know why. I've read about it like 1,000 times, and whenever I start writing a proposal, I was like, okay, I need to remind myself again. I don't know why that happens, because objectives are the... See, now I forgot it again. I will need a
Okay.
reminder about the differences.
Oh, great. I will remind you in the next session, actually, and
Okay.
no wonder that you are actually confused, and all of us are sometimes confused because donors are inventing new terminology every time, and there are actually many synonymous. Outcomes,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
outcomes and objectives should be the same, actually. Objectives when we are planning, and when we achieve, these are more or less outcomes.
The outcomes, exactly, yes.
And in the next presentation, in the next session, I will explain that actually what is the terminology that is used on which level, and that's why very useful tool is the log frame. In order to be able to make clear distinction between impact, outcomes, outputs, objectives, and so on. Log frame is not required with this proposal and in the full application, but full application is completely structured in line with the log frame. So you need to understand log frame. If you have good understanding of the log frame, then you are in a good position to prepare good application. So we will come back to that in the next session.
Thank you.
Okay, and for the others, is there something you want to comment? Are you aware now which are the area in which you should more focus in the full application? I'm sure you are. Okay. And I believe you will have even better idea after the next two sessions. Okay, now let's go for a break. According to the agenda, it's half an hour break, but if you agree, we can go with 15 minutes. Is it fine with you? To be back?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, 15 minutes break and then we will continue, okay? Okay. So in this second session, we are going to deal with the project strategy. Okay, we noticed that it is very important in the criteria, but also we noticed that there are also remarks from the evaluation committee. So let's work a little bit on this. And for that reason, we will have we'll use the concept of so-called now results chain. Formerly, we were calling this logic of intervention. And lately, donors are using the term results chain, or how the objectives are related to each other. And here on this scheme, you can see when we go from left to right, we need inputs. That's why we are applying at the call for proposal to get enough inputs in the sense of financial means that will provide possibility for us to have a project team pay and also to implement activities. So based on these activities that we have planned in our project, we can expect that we will achieve some results. And these results are in three categories or three levels of results. We call them outputs, outcomes, and impact. So outputs are immediate results after the activities implementation. Outcomes are related with how these outputs will be used, and impact, what are the overall changes that can be achieved. For example, if we take this training, outputs would be train participants for preparation of full application, or increased knowledge of participants in preparing full application. Outcomes would be that participants apply that knowledge. and the applications are with better quality, for example. An impact would be if we have improved quality of the application, then impact would be that you receive funding from Seldi, for example. Or if we have preparing of some application, output would be publication prepared and information available to the public through that publication. Outcome would be what have been changed based on that information provided in the application, whether their skills have been changed or their attitudes, behavior, and so on. And impact is something on the higher level and which is coming as a consequence of applying those things. And outcomes and impact are called also development results because these are associated with some change, while the output not necessarily mean that something have been changed. For example, campaign implemented and reached 1,000 viewers doesn't mean that we have changed something. Outcome is related and impact are related with changes. And in this scheme, we can see also again those three levels of results. And usually outputs, another terminology that is used is deliverables. And it is something, we call it sphere of control, something that we have complete control over that. And if we promise some output in our application, we should guarantee that with our project, we have achieved those outputs. While the outcome is related with use of the outputs and is something called sphere of influence, something that we want to influence. Again, awareness about some issue, knowledge about something, some skills that we want to gain, and so on. This is outcome. And then impact is related with the society at large and is a sphere of concern, something for which we are concerned about. And in this case, for this call, it would be corruption, for example. A sphere of concern would be that we want to reduce the level of corruption, for example, or to improve implementation of rule of law, and so on. So these are the higher level of our intervention to which we want to contribute. And here is a list of questions that can make you, can help you to easily identify which are the outputs, outcomes, and impact. Outputs are received when we ask ourselves, what are the services we are delivering with our project? Or what is under our control with our project? Outcome would be, what are the changes we are looking for among our target group? What changes we can influence? And the impact is, what are the longer term or larger scale changes that we are interested in and we want to contribute to. So we are aware that we cannot solve that problem completely, but with our project, we want to contribute to these changes. Is it clear the distinction between outputs, outcomes, and impact?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
It will be even more clear now with the next part. Do you recognize this? I'm sure you do, because probably this is not the first application that you are preparing. And many of the projects are prepared by using the log frame. And this is the structure of the log frame. And this chain of results I was talking about is actually in the first column of the log frame, and is called logic of intervention or intervention logic. And usually intervention logic is read from bottom to the top. For example, if we implement our activities, then we will achieve our results. If the results are achieved, then we can hope that we will achieve our specific objective. And if the specific objective was achieved, then we will contribute to the overall objective. So this is if-then logic that we are applying in reading those results and checking whether they are logically interrelated to each other or whether there is cause-effect relation. Then the second column is called column for indicators. Indicators are actually measures of the first column, or they are explaining in more details what we want to achieve with our specific objectives, with our results, and of course, contribution we want to make to the overall objective. The third column is called sources of verification and represents the, as it stands, sources where you can find the data about the indicators you have defined. For example, it could be project reports, list of participants, it could be some survey, it could be official statistical data. It says where we are going to look for the data for the indicators. And this is very much related with the monitoring plan. By defining our sources of verification, we are actually planning our monitoring process. Then the last column is a column of assumptions and preconditions. And these are external factors that are not under our control, which can influence the success of our intervention logic, meaning they influence how much we will be able to achieve our results and specific objectives. By defining this column, actually we are doing a risk assessment, something which we were referring to, which was a weaker part also in some of the concept notes. So by defining the assumptions, actually we are identifying risks that are related with our logic of intervention. And also in the log frame, there is separate section for means, meaning these are the resources we need, either human resources, either services we need, information, office, vehicle, and so on. And these means are actually translated through the budget, are translated in costs or presentation, how much will our project cost. And this is complete log frame, where actually our project is presented in brief, in 1 or 2 pages. We have complete overview of the strategy of our project, including some of the external factors, including how we are going to measure our success. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with a log frame, but are there any questions related with this? No, it's clear? Okay, and this is terminology I have mentioned. And this terminology relates to the levels of logic of intervention. So on the highest level, we have impact or overall goal, overall objective, long-term objective, or development objective. These are different terminology used for the higher level. And with red is the terminology used in this call. So in this call, we will stick to overall objective as term. Then the second row refers to outcome or effects, or goals, or project purpose, specific objective, and so on. For this call, it is specific objective. And the third level is the outputs or intermediate results or expected results, which is terminology used in the call, expected results. And on the bottom, these are the activities. And here is how these are connected, the intervention logic of UA project with intervention logic of Seldi program. So your overall objectives should relate with the program purpose of Seldi program, specific objective to program results of Seldi program, and project results to activities of the program. So you need to find relation with what is already defined in the guidelines for applicants. But again, I will note here, be careful not to quote the already defined objectives, but define your own objectives, results that are related to the CLD program. And here is one example as an illustration of the logic of intervention, and for you to see how you can interpret your own logic of intervention and check whether there is logic in your logic of intervention. This example is of one organization that is working with young people on the issues of health. And they identified that many of young people are obese, and even 30% of young people have higher body weight than it is normal. So they decided, if we go in the activities, how we read this, they decided they will perform campaign for sport and recreation among youth. Then they will advocate and lobby for better sport and recreation infrastructure, meaning to have more sport halls and fields, free entry in the swimming pools, and so on. And then is the campaign for benefits of eating healthy food. So thanks to the activities related with sport and recreation, so the advocacy and lobbying activities for infrastructure and promotional campaign, they expect that young people will practice enough physical activities. And thanks to the campaign for benefits of eating healthy food, they expect that young people will consume more healthy food. So these are the expected results. And then if young people practice enough physical activities and consume more healthy food, they can expect that young people will have normal body weight. And if young people have normal body weight, then they will have improved health, which is overall objective of the project. So you see, it's not complicated. It is important just to see how these are related and which of these statements are activities, what is the level of results, and what is the level of overall objectives. So our overall objective here is improved health of the young people, but we are aware that with the activities we are doing, we will contribute only to the aspect of their normal body weight through our activities that we are going to perform. Okay. Intervention logic seems clear. Okay. John, you have question? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that it is indeed very clear. And from our end, at least, we always begin a project or a call for proposals by using this framework. I think that really makes everything a lot easier to write later on. So, you know, objectives, specific objectives, and these are all in a table. It makes it just really easy to kind of make everything flow. So I agree.
Yes. Yes, that's very good practice that you are preparing first the log frame and then you are starting to write the project, because all the project structure is there, and you can go back and check once again if you are not realistic, reformulate your results, replan, maybe add some activities or change something in the overall objective. And when you go to the indicators later, you can check once again. Maybe you haven't been realistic in planning the logic of intervention. So
Yes, exactly. And it makes it so much easier to pick something in an earlier step, you know, than after everything is written. It becomes a mess otherwise. Yes.
Yes, great. Okay, other comments? No? Okay, then I want to send you a link to one quiz I have prepared for you, where you, let me first explain what you need to do. The idea is that you practice a little bit understanding of and applying the logic of intervention. In the quiz, there are 5 examples, 5 different projects with statements about overall objective, specific objective, and results. So you don't have activities there. You have only overall objective, specific objective, and results. And you need to determine which statement represents the overall objective, which statement is a specific objective, and which statements are results. To make it easier, all these 5 projects have one overall objective, one specific objective, and 3 results. So in each project, you have 3 results. And you will work independently. The quiz is anonymous. After you click submit, you will receive individualized feedback, so you can check whether you have correct or wrong answers and so on. And then we will look at the results together in the plenary to try to interpret this logic of intervention of these 5 projects, okay? We will have 15 minutes for that. Take your time, don't be in a hurry, because the examples are not so easy. So you need to read first, think carefully, and determine the logic of intervention. Okay. So 15 minutes to respond and check what are your results, and then we will discuss in plenary. I have sent it, but please check whether you can access the quiz.
I can access it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's accessible.
Okay. Okay. Good work, and see you later. Responded, but let's see. Was it difficult?
I think yes, for me.
Yes, okay. You're satisfied with the results, or at the end? Not really.
Not too much.
Okay, let's discuss
For
now.
me,
Yes.
yes. Sorry, for me, I usually confuse the overall objective, because I think it would help if this was initially clarified. Because, for instance, in the first one, if I remember correctly, well, actually, I don't remember exactly, but the point is that you could achieve many of the things. So, for instance, if your goal is to increase profits for small businesses, that could very well be an overall objective. But increased productivity could also be an overall objective, in my opinion. I'm not sure if that is correct or not. What do you think?
We will go now one by one through all projects and discuss. Let's see. Let me see, just to open the... Okay. Do you see the screen now? Here is
Yes.
first example. Let me see. First example is about the project strengthening of small businesses. Can someone explain or shall I do that? You can see that there is mix of correct and some not correct answers. If we go from bottom to the top, in the logic of intervention, expected results here are improved skills of entrepreneurs, available production equipment, and strengthened association of producers. So if we have improved skills of entrepreneurs, available production equipment, and strengthened association of producers, then we will achieve specific objective, which is increased productivity of small businesses. So with all the things that we are doing in our project, we intend to increase the productivity of small businesses. And if the productivity of small businesses is increased, then we can hope that we have achieved overall objective, which is increased income of small objectives. John, you are discussing this, that this could be also overall objective, yes? And this is actually the overall objective. And we can
My point was, sorry to interrupt. I thought that increased productivity would have been the overall objective. That's my point.
And increased income would be what?
A specific objective.
But
Maybe not, I don't know.
The if and then logic is going, if we increase the productivity, then we can expect to increase the income. Because if we increase the income, then productivity affects the income of the small businesses.
Yeah, but improving productivity is also something that's more long-term than just the income. That was my thought, because improving just the income, it's kind of a middle goal. You should increase the total production and everything that the producer does. So that was my logic also.
But you're saying that we should use this if-then approach.
Yes.
When we're drafting proposals, then.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If we do this, then we can hope to achieve that. And if that is achieved, then we can contribute to the higher level.
Okay.
That is the logic. And the previous remark about the increased income, please have in mind also that usually you can aim to more than one overall objective. For example, increased productivity of small businesses leads to increased income, but it's not the only effect of increased productivity of small businesses. It could lead to higher salaries, for example, of the employees. It could lead to other things, And that's why we can have more than one overall objective. But in these examples, I selected only one overall objective, not to confuse a lot. Okay, let's see the second. You are here better, much better than in the previous example. So, project is clean water. If we build wells, then if the rules for domestic animals are established and applied, and if the villagers are motivated and trained to maintain the wells, then we can achieve what? Increased use of clean water by villagers, which is specific objective. And then if we have increased use of clean water, then we will have improved health of the villagers. So using the clean water affects the health of the villagers. That is the if-then logic. Do you agree? Is it clear here?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, John?
Yes, I think that's very clear. I
Okay.
just had kind of a sort of off-topic question.
Mhm.
Is this a logical framework and this approach of the if-then logic, is this also how EU grants work in general, would you say?
Yes, yes, definitely. And actually, I mentioned this if-then logic and log frame is not required as a table in this call. But when we go later through the full application, you will see that all the elements of the logic of intervention are in the narrative part. But majority of EU calls are requiring also the log frame and clear presentation of this logic of intervention in a separate table. And they have separate format for that. Yeah, this is usual approach. Let's see the third example. Which are the expected results? We have first one, if we have regulated street prostitution. If the population knows more about the AIDS and is aware of its consequences, and if condoms are available, then we can expect what? We can expect increased number of people that practice safe sex. If there is increased number of people practicing safe sex, then we will have decreased rate of HIV among the population. That is logic here. And you improving with each example. Let's see with the trade unions. Here are the expected results. If we have trade unions that are well organized, if trade unions are recognized and accepted by the government, if union staff have strengthened skills, then trade unions would be more effective. That is specific objective. So with our project, we are working actually to make the trade unions more effective. And as an overall objective of the project, if trade unions are more effective, they will achieve better their mission, their overall objectives, and which are better working conditions for employees in the companies. Actually, that is the reason why trade unions exist. So our project is focused on effectivity of their work, and we are helping them to be better organized. We are helping them to be accepted by the government. We can help them to strengthen their skills, hoping that they will be more effective and at the end serving better to their members or creating better working conditions for employees. This one is clear? Okay, and let's see the last one. Here are the results. The project is Better Future for Street Youth. If we have, or if we provide gathering places and shelters for street youth. If we motivate employees to hire street youth for internships, and if the street youth are familiar with the possibility for their education, then we can expect that we have unemployed street youth that find suitable employment. If unemployed street youth find suitable employment, then overall objective will be achieved, and that is reduced urban crime, which could be one overall objective. Again, here, employing street youth could lead also to other overall objectives, and you can easily put more than one overall objective. But it is important to get this if and then logic. Okay. Do you have any questions related with these examples? So what you should try with your logic of intervention, try to see from when in the concept note which are expected results, which are specific objectives and of overall objective, and try to apply this if and then logic. If we implement these activities, whether we are going to achieve the results. If we achieve the results, whether the specific objective defined as you have defined can be achieved. It will help you to prepare more clear and more better project strategy for your project. And now if we are done with the logic of intervention, now we can go to also very important section of the full application, which is relates to indicators. And when we are talking about indicators, first let's clarify what we mean by indicators. I have put here two definitions. One is saying that indicators are description of the project objectives in terms of quantity, quality, target groups, time, and place. So actually, by defining indicators, we are making our proposal more concrete, putting these values, either qualitative or quantitative. And indicators are actually explanation of the logic of intervention. We are more precise now with the indicators, and these are helping us in planning the intervention. For example, it means one thing if we decide to cover 500 people, and completely different thing if we decide to cover 5,000 people. So by defining indicators, we are determining the scope of our project as well. And indicators are important not only for the planning stage, but also very important for the process of monitoring. And that's why in the second definition, it says indicators are chosen variables, meaning that they will change during the project from one value to another that provide response to the monitoring questions regarding the project progress. So the change of the indicators will tell us how much we have achieved. And that's why a good definition of indicators is crucial for designing good monitoring system as well. Not only for designing realistic project, but also for designing good monitoring system. And I'm sure that you have heard this SMART in many occasions, but I really need to repeat that once again, because that is what is required from the indicators. To be smart, meaning specific, which means to be clearly defined with clear meaning and scope. First of all, we need to understand what is the indicator, what we are measuring. Then this should be measurable. It could be qualitatively or quantitatively, regardless, but it should be easy or possible to be measured. Then achievable, meaning realistic, feasible, and not overly ambitious or unattainable. So I will draw attention on this. When you are planning indicators, please be careful to define achievable indicators, something that is realistic to be achieved with a project from 9 to 12 months. Then relevant, meaning meaningful, with clear relationship to the intended objective or results. So there should be clear link or relation of the indicators with the expected results and objectives that you are measuring. And in the end, this should be time bound, which means they determine when the desired values can be expected to be achieved. So you should put also that dimension in the indicators. And this table can help you in formulating indicators. By asking yourself these questions, you can define good and smart indicator. Which are the questions? What is changing? Or what is the object or phenomenon that we are following? Who is concerned? Or what is the target group? How much the change will be? It means that what is the present or value and what is the future value where we want to be achieved with our project. It means that we need to have, we call it baseline data. So we need to have the situation at the beginning, and then be able to plan the change we want to achieve. Then where will the change take place? Meaning, what is the location? Where we are covering one municipality, region, and so on. And when we can expect this change to happen or what is the time frame for that change. And not be just on theory. Here is one example how we can apply those questions in formulating indicator. For example, in this case, what is changing? We are following the unemployment rate of Roma population, and we expect that there will be decrease of unemployment rate for 4% in the municipality of Šuto-Orizari until the end of 2027. So we can see that this is smart indicators. It's specific, measurable, clear location, clear time frame, and so on. So all elements of the smart indicator are there. This decrease of unemployment rate for 4% implies that we have the initial situation, or we know the unemployment rate of Roma population in municipality of Šuto-Orizari now, which is the baseline. In order to put 4% as a target, we need to have the baseline. Sometimes it can happen that you don't have baseline data. Either there are no information for something, or you cannot access those data. So these data are not available. In case you do not have baseline, then please do not use percentages. You cannot calculate percentage if you do not have the initial value. Then in that case, you should use only absolute numbers. Okay? Is this clear? When you have baseline as a number, then you can use percentages. Otherwise, you will use absolute numbers. Please, if you have any questions, you can ask also while I'm going through the presentation, because this is a little bit longer one. Okay, then we need to make a distinction between quantitative and qualitative indicators. Quantitative indicators are those that show something that can be easily measured or measurable changes, either through numbers, absolute numbers, percentages, as I mentioned, frequency, for example, how often something is happening, or deviation from some standard values. And quantitative indicators are more easily for measuring. While qualitative indicators are those that relate with some visible changes, like change of attitude of our target group or beneficiary, change of behavior, change of abilities, skills, change of perception, change of understanding. And these are qualitative indicators, and it is more difficult to be measured. But still, you can establish some system in which qualitative indicators can be translated into quantitative and become measurable. Typical example is how we are measuring the success of students in universities. You know, there are grades from 6 to 10, and there is clear standard or description what 6 means and what 10 means. 10 means that student was active, student responded all tests positively and all correct answers and so on. So something that is qualitative, meaning knowledge of the students, is translated that in something that is quantitative. And you should apply this approach also in your projects. And then you can apply some interviews, some surveys in order to follow these qualitative changes. Then you can make distinction between direct and indirect indicators. Direct indicators are those indicators that directly measure the phenomenon of interest. The previous example was unemployment, direct indicator. Or this example I have here, percentage of population living in less than $1 per day. What we are measuring with this indicator? Is there any idea? Population living with $1 per day. What is the measure? What we are measuring here? Do you have any idea?
The percent of population.
Okay, but percentage of population living on less than $1 per day. What is the indicator for? What we want to measure with this indicator?
Poverty.
Poverty. Yes, this is direct indicator for poverty. Then indirect or proxy indicators. Proxy indicators cannot measure directly what we are following, but give us only indication of something. And usually there will be situations where you cannot find direct indicators. And then you can use these proxy indicators, which are used if there is no direct measure, or there is direct measure, but the issue is very sensitive and people do not want to talk about or reveal data about that issue, or when there is direct measure, but it is too expensive to get that measure, or the costs are so high, it is not effective to use those direct indicators. In those cases, you can use indirect indicators. And here is one example, saying savings that women have in the banks, gathered from statistical data from the banks, can tell us about the earnings that women have. So if we are not able to ask them about the level of their earnings, then we can get some statistical data from the banks, which are some indication in this case. So we cannot claim if they have higher savings, then for sure they have very high earnings. But we suppose that if women have higher savings, then probably they have also high earnings. Then also you can use global and local indicators. Global indicators are those that are standardized ones, which are internationally accepted and applicable in all environments and all countries. And wherever possible, you should look for such indicators. And there are a number of examples. For example, World Health Organization have many such indicators, from level of nutrition to immunization rate and so on. And if we say immunization rate in Macedonia, it could be easily comparable with immunization rate in Serbia, for example, because the methodology and approach of getting that rate is same in all countries. Or sustainable development goals. Now, many countries are committed in measuring the indicators that are related with sustainable development goals, and you can easily compare. Or a number of indexes. There is index of perception of corruption, index of human rights, index of economic freedoms, and so on. And these indexes are prepared in line with standardized internationally accepted methodology. And these are usually prepared each year. For example, perception of corruption. I think that Transparency International is preparing this index in all countries, and you do not need to measure the corruption yourself in your project, but you just get the data that are already gathered with this research. I'm explaining this because these indicators you will find very often on the higher level of your intervention, meaning then, that for the overall objective or for the specific objective, you will need to look for some global indicators, something that has been already measured by someone. And then here are also local indicators that are developed specifically for your context or your project. And for the concrete results and activities defined in your project. So you should try to find some combination of global and local indicators. Go for something that is available, if possible, and if not, then you should think of your own indicators that are defined specifically for your project. Okay. Other types of indicators clear? Anna?
I would like to ask a question for types of phenomena that we may be analyzing where there are not specific quantitative indicators for a particular aspect. Is it okay if in the application we are only, for some of the indicators, we are only providing not measurable indicators in terms of qualitative indicators?
Okay, let me reframe this. If indicators are qualitative, doesn't mean they are not measurable. You should aim for measurable indicators in any case, whether quantitative or qualitative, but you should be able at the end of the project to demonstrate that something has changed, either with numbers, but also with some qualitative supporting evidence that you will have in your project.
So, for instance, if we do have, let's say, in the project we analyze that there are not numbers to support the analysis, but all the, let's say, all the reports about a particular issue are allocating that there is a negative trend, for instance, in brain drain is something that is measurable, but another phenomenon, let's say bullying in schools, that it is present. So, for instance, we do have data that supports that bullying is present, but we don't have particular numbers. And if the project is aimed at raising awareness about bullying and anti-bullying campaigns, then again, in the end results and the outputs of the project, we may not have particular quantitative data, but rather qualitative. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, yes, it is fine, but you need to support that with some evidence. If something has changed in the perception about bullying, for example, you need to have some either at least focus, because these are small projects. I don't want to recommend some extensive surveys where you have some representative sample of students, for example, in high school schools. But you can go for a focus group, for example, or interviews with some students to see whether there are some effects of your work at the end of the project.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
Yes, you can use qualitative, definitely, and it's good for issues like knowledge, attitude, behavior. You should use qualitative indicators. Not always things can be measured with numbers. So it's completely fine if you have qualitative indicators. But I want to know
that's why I asked, because even in the concept note, we are researching a social phenomena that cannot be strictly measured and supported by numbers, but rather by overview of the whole situation. And if the project is aimed at that, I was just curious if we were supposed and required to have data in terms of numbers as to how the phenomena has developed after the project. But thank you very much.
Yeah. So you can easily use qualitative indicators for these examples. Okay. I have few examples more. Here result is improved recreation infrastructure for the cyclist. 15 kilometers reconstructed bicycle path from Skopje to Tetovo until May in the year 2025. Again, this is quantitative, easily measurable, location is clear, time frame is clear. But let's see another one. What I want to... Here is another example, which is put in the log frame or logic of intervention approach. If our activity was training on bookkeeping of entrepreneurs, our result or output in terms of indicator would be 20 entrepreneurs trained in bookkeeping. So we expect that these 20 people know more about bookkeeping, and we can justify that and provide some evidence by having a test, for example, at the end of the training. So we prove that during the training they have gained some knowledge. And then on the higher level, on the level of outcome, our indicator would be after 3 months from these 20, 15 entrepreneurs apply bookkeeping properly. So we need to go out now, out from our project, and visit them and check whether they are applying the bookkeeping as it was presented during the training. And then on the higher level, you see after 6 months, 10 entrepreneurs have increased their net income for 10%. So increasing the net income is not related directly with bookkeeping. Of course, there are many other things that should be satisfied in order their net income to be increased. But we hope that by having this bookkeeping training, we will somehow contribute also to the level of their income. And you see, for the overall objective, we are having more time needed. In order to be able to observe the impact, we need to have more time after the training, not immediately. Okay, we have raised hand, John.
Yes, thank you. So in my experience, we had to pick one indicator, but here we have an indicator for each stage, each level of the project. What is the common practice? Do we pick one of these? Or when
in this case, and we will see later in the full application, and that is usual practice. Indicators are defined on the level of results, on the level of specific objective, and on the level of overall objective. So for each statement of the results, you need to have at least one indicator. Also for the specific objective and for the overall objective. So you need to have more indicators as a total.
Okay.
Sorry?
Okay. Yes, I understood. Thank you.
Sometimes even for one result, for the same result, maybe you will need more than one indicator. One that will show the quantitative aspect and another one that may represent the qualitative aspect. It depends again on the example and formulation of the result. We will come back to this through group work and with one practical exercise where you will develop indicators for concrete example. But let's complete this also with the sources of verification. I already mentioned when we were presenting the log frame. Sources of verification provide us with information or actually respond to the question how information for the indicators will be collected, or what is the source where we are going to find those data. For example, in the previous, where we are going to find the data where we have 20 entrepreneurs trained. First is our list of participants. Whether they have increased their knowledge would be some test that we have or a report from the test we have applied. Then for the second one, for the whether they are applying bookkeeping properly would be visit of those entrepreneurs and report from field visits and so on. So sources of verification tell us how we are going to gather this information, who will collect this information, whether it will be project staff or maybe we will need some external human resources or capacities, which also have implication on your budget. For example, if you plan to perform some survey, then you need to have field assistants that will gather those information. Or some survey teams. So here is the answer: who will gather the data and when and how often the information should be gathered and distributed, whether it will be monthly, quarterly, or annually. Since in your case these are shorter projects, probably majority of the data will be collected at the end of the project, but usually for the longer projects, you will have a situation where you need to collect data quarterly and follow the progress of the intervention on an ongoing base. Also, even for these projects, it would be good practice for the activities and for the results to gather data regularly. Every time you have some activity, you need to prepare a list of participants, take photos probably, prepare report from the activity, gather impressions from the participants, cover social media and see what are the reactions after that concrete event and so on. So doing that on an ongoing base, it would be good practice in order to have correct data for the whole project. And I already mentioned that indicators are closely related with the monitoring. Monitoring is focused on overseeing the progress of intervention, but also these are related with the evaluation, which means analysis of the success of the intervention against defined criteria. It means that if you don't have good monitoring, you cannot evaluate the success of your project. That's why gathering data on the ongoing base is very important. So we are talking about systematic data gathering, checking of reliability of data, then aggregation of data and presentation, meaning preparing reports from the activities. And then once again, to make a note that there is a difference of gathering indicators and data on different level. It will be much easier to gather data about activities and results, and more difficult to gather data on a higher level, meaning for the specific objective and impact of the project. And usually, for the impact and specific objective, you will need to go outside the organization. Please have this in mind when you are planning your monitoring plan, because this can have financial implications. At least it will take some time of the project team. Someone will need to get this data from the participants or outside of the organization and spend some time on monitoring. That is for this part. Are there any questions related with the indicators before we go in groups and work a little bit on this? In the concept note, you were not required to define indicators, but now you are required to define indicators on the level of overall objective, on the level of specific objective, and on the level of results. And also, one of the criteria relates to that how well are defined those indicators. And another part of criteria is related with monitoring, which again comes to the indicators and sources of verification. That's why we need to have good planning of this part. You don't have anything to ask at this point?
No.
Okay. And then this is the template we are going to use for the group exercise. We will divide in the same groups. This is actually the log frame, and you are required to discuss and define indicators for overall objective, specific objective, and expected results, not for activities. So just for these three levels, like in the full application, you will need to. And sources of verification. So plan indicators and where you are going to get that data. This column you need to leave open, empty, sorry. Assumptions. We are not asking now for assumptions, just indicators and sources of verification. And this is the same example I had in my presentation for overweight youth. Okay. Shall we go now in groups? Actually, let
Let's
me
go.
share the format.
So we're not filling indicators for activities? I didn't catch that part.
You do not need to define indicators for activities.
Okay.
And this is the case also in the application. Activities are defined in a separate section where you need to provide details about the activities. For example, if you have training, how long it will take. It is either 1 or 2 day training. How many participants you will have at the training, and so on. You need to define details about the activities, but indicators the indicators are related with your results, with the specific objective, and with the overall objective.
Okay, thank you.
Let me share that template. Question 2. Okay. I suppose you have received that. I have sent it in chat. You have it? Okay. Now let's
Yes.
go in groups. We are a little bit behind the plan. We will have 15 minutes for group work, and then we will share some of the developed indicators in plenary, okay? Okay, I will form groups now. Same as in the first session. Okay, let's see. What was the experience in the groups? Was it easy to define indicators?
Depends
Yeah.
of the team and the group.
Yes, it is not easy.
Yeah, it was challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, it takes a lot of time to define good indicators.
Yeah.
Okay, let's share. I propose that we share only one example, and other groups can contribute also during the presentations. Who wants to share? Maybe the third group, that was the larger one. I don't know. The third group was Jon, Zoran. Who was there?
I give because the word it's the document basically it's into my colleague and she can he can share the screen as well. So
Okay.
we try to do in the frame of the time that we have, and I think that we are in a good direction as well. Thank you.
Okay.
So just
We'll
to
share.
wait to everybody come back.
Mhm.
John, are you gonna share the screen and present what we've done?
Yes, sorry, I was just in the restroom for a second, but I will share now. 1 second.
Thank you.
Hope you weren't waiting long. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we
can start
started.
with
Yes.
let's start with overall objective first, okay?
Okay, we did it bottom up, but we'll start with overall
Okay.
objective. So, improved health of young people was the overall objective. What we thought here was the incidence of obesity in the youth population, because we're talking about health. So it's not just eating right and being not overweight, but it's well, disease, and the global burden of disease, number one in developed countries is obesity. So incidence of obesity in the youth population. You can compare national average to that of the global average. If your if your project is in the, like, let's say in Macedonia or whatever. And for this, you can look at national and global statistics on obesity. There's annual reports of this, of these two things, pretty much anywhere. So that's fine. And you can compare those percentages. We also thought about the number of young people that report on health problems in hospitals or something like that. And again, there you can look at national and global statistics to kind of understand whether a certain area young people are more affected by disease than another. So that's what we had for that.
Let's see, let's see
Sure.
whether other groups have something different or to add something to these indicators. First and second group, Anna.
Should I stop sharing?
For this one, as a source of verification, we also added the statistics from the regular school checkups that are done by both high schools and primary schools. As in there, they also measure their weight and the major health problems that youth are facing, and that would be a very relevant information as those types of checkups are actually for all students, and they cover all the whole target group that we are trying to address.
Yes. Yes, great. And you see both groups are referring to something that already exists. So for these levels, as I suggested in the presentation, you need to look to the already existing data. Someone is gathering this data. You do not need to go out and do some checkups on your own. But it is already in the system, and it's good that you can use those data for measuring. Okay. And some other addition maybe here for the formulation of indicators?
Yeah,
from
we
others?
also,
Yes.
can I, thank you. We also included mental health here. So
Okay.
yeah, we also include percentage of young people with improved physical and mental health.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, it's basically similar.
Okay. Okay, maybe I would suggest that also this incidence of obesity in youth population would be more appropriate indicator for the specific objective. Here I would leave just reporting on health problems, including physical and mental health is fine, but the first one I would put under the specific objective because it's rather focused on the obesity of young people, which is related with a specific objective. Otherwise, formulation is very good. And maybe for both, here, maybe you need to add some targets, but that implies that you know the current situation. You say incidence of obesity. Do you know what is the incidence of obesity at the moment? So you need to find the data from the national statistics, how many young people in average have higher body weight than normal, and then put some target that that incidence is reduced, for example, for 5 or 10%. So you need to define only targets, otherwise formulations are good. Okay, we can go now with a specific objective.
Yes, for this one, we're looking at body weight, and we thought BMI of the youth demographic would be a useful measure. I mean, it's not a very accurate measure, but globally, this is what they use. 18.5 to 24.9 is an average. And this doesn't really take into account activity level, but, you know, as a general overview is fine. We could look at national statistics, institution health data. Pretty much every country has this. We also thought you could look at percentage of the youth persons that decrease their weight after our project intervention, perhaps. Might be a bit specific, but and again, you can look at the annual reports from healthcare sector. We can add schools here, as the other group mentioned.
Okay. Do we have from other groups something else here, or that's it for the overall objective? For the first one, you are taking average body mass index, yes, of the young population.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's right.
Yes.
But yes, someone wanted to comment something? You see, it's not easy to define indicators because you need to go in many details. For example, detail that we need here is young people. What does it mean actually?
Yes.
Who we are covering?
Yeah, exactly. We have to specify the target group.
Yes.
So yeah, of
Everybody
course,
who's
it's
feeling
challenging.
Okay.
We don't really know.
Sorry?
We don't really know because it's not really specified, right? And also BMI changes depending on what age you're looking at. So
Yes, that's why I'm saying you need to be even more specific than this in real cases when you come to measure all this. Okay, let's go with the results now.
sure. So young people practice enough physical activities. This was a tricky one, but we thought percentage of people that subscribes to gym, training facilities like a tennis camp or something, or tennis association or something, school programs, and we thought about adding a time constraint to this, which is 1 year after finishing the promotional campaigns and whatever. So percentage of people subscribing to training. And we could look at, say, 3 gyms, 3 schools, 3 training facilities to get that data, and looking at the number of members that have signed up, that were already signed up, something like that. There's also regional reports on the, again, on average number of young persons training. This is compiled from surveys that national institutions do, so that should be okay. Also, we were looking at here and expected result number 2, young people consume more healthy food. Since we started with schools, we can look at food composition in school criteria, like how many healthy food options do these schools provide. Maybe they look at this in percentage. We don't really know, but you can look at school cafeteria national reports on food consumption from institutes of health, and they can have some data on that. Probably they do. So that's what we
Okay, great. Do we have something different in the other groups? Are you measuring the same? Yes.
We also added the sales report from fast food restaurants that are closely to the school areas.
That is source of verification, or no?
Yes, source of verification.
And what you will look at in the sales reports?
Whether the sales have decreased after the campaign. Actually, we will compare the sales reports before the campaign and after the campaign to see whether there was a decrease in the sales.
So what you are measuring, the indicator is level of consumption of fast food.
Yes.
That is the indicator. Level of consumption of fast food, and you will check that in sales report from fast food restaurants. Okay, Anna, you also had something?
No, Ivana covered it, and also the pre and post survey as to the eating habits of the target groups. So before the program would start, we would do a pre-survey and then clarify what are their food preferences. And after the campaign ends, another post-survey with the same number and the same people that were the target group of the campaign to see if anything has changed and if their views to consumption on health food have improved.
Okay, great. And if you are doing a survey, then you can use this survey also for the first result. Then you can ask them not only about food consumption, but also whether they are having some sport activities, how much time they are spending on sport and recreation, and so on, since you are also doing a survey. Great. And now you see how much work actually you will have when you come to monitoring part. Look at this list of documents you need to gather. You need to go out at gyms, schools to gather data, to do a survey. So it's not easy. It's really a complicated process, but you need to go through this phase of planning, and then you decide what are the most crucial indicators you are going to stick to during the project, and discuss what are the sources of verification, because this will have financial implications. If you decide to do survey on representative sample, for example, with the youth, then you need to plan some costs in the budget for this. That's why you need to go through whole process of planning of indicators in order to be able also to plan resources. Okay, thank you very much. I hope that this was useful, that you went through this process of formulating indicators, and with this approach, you can also work on your own indicators in your project. Are there any questions at the end of this session? No? Then we can go for a lunch. Let's be back, for example, 1:30. Would it be fine? 40 minutes we have.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, it's fine.
See you.
Thank you.
See you.
Shall we continue?
Yes,
sure.
we can.
Okay. In this last session, we will spend most of the time with the full application form. Now it's a little bit challenging after the lunch to keep your attention, but what I wanted to emphasize is that it is also very important part. So let's follow this, and again, feel free to ask questions if something is not clear. We will go now with a step-by-step guidance through different sections of the application, and later we will have short presentation related with your writing style. So let me share. I will share the full application form format. You can see this. And I have added my remarks and my suggestions for you in red in the application form. And after the training, you will receive this document. So you will have this as a reminder while you are working on the application. First, this part is related with the title of the project. Take care that the title is short, clear, and concise, up to maximum 5 words. And it should reflect the idea of the project. But be careful not to quote the objectives. I have experienced that many organizations, when they do not have idea about the title of the project, then they are putting the specific objective and it is becoming too long. At this point, you already have title of your projects, and the suggestion would be that you keep to what you already have as a title, except if it is too long, then make it shorter. If it is 3 or 4 lines, then you need to make it a little bit short. I noticed that there are really interesting titles, very short, inspirational, while there were also some little bit longer, but if it is clear, you can stick to the what you have proposed already with the concept note. Here are some technical details. You know this about the duration, budget, and so on, and then we can go to the section 2.1. 2.1 starts with the relevance of the project. So you need to write 1 paragraph of maximum 400 words in which you need to relate your objectives with the priorities of the call for proposals and particular needs and constraints of the target country. So this is really very good at the opening of the narrative part to improve a little bit on the relevance part, which can bring you up to 5 points. Here is a tool that can provide you with more structure in this part is problem analysis or problem tree, where similarly to the intervention logic, you can use if-then approach to explain the problems and consequences of these problems. Be careful that here you need to put more arguments, more data, information, and references of documents and analysis that you are going to use in this part. Also, here you need to present stakeholders analysis, meaning to identify which are those institutions and stakeholders that are related with the problem you are going to address with the project. And then is the part for target group and final beneficiaries. I hope you can make the distinction with target group and final beneficiaries. Target group are those groups, entities who will have a direct benefit from the project on the level of specific objective, while final beneficiaries are those that will have benefit from the project in the longer term on the level of the society as a whole, or these are related with the impact. And usually, when talking in terms of numbers, target group should be a smaller number of people compared to the final beneficiaries that we want to reach. Be sure that you include numbers here. Already in the full application, you need to have numbers of the target group and final beneficiary that you are going to cover. And also, please put a clear definition. Here is one example. Instead of saying just youth, put, for example, 1,000 high school students from Veles. Or instead of putting relevant institution, state which are those relevant institutions, for example, Ministry of Finance, Public Revenue Office, and so on. Then is the part for the intervention logic, where you will explain which are your overall objectives, specific objectives, and expected results. You have a total of 1,000 words for this section. you will use the approach of logic of intervention we discussed in the second session. And here you need also to elaborate on the indicators. Use smart indicators as we discussed, provide wherever possible baseline and targets for each of the indicators. Also here you need to explain the sources of verification, and sources of verification that are not too costly, so be cost effective. Also in this part, because there is enough space, you need to formulate overall objectives, specific objectives, and expected results. But you also can have one paragraph with more explanation for each statement, and also explain the relation of the results with specific objectives, or state how expected results will contribute to the specific objectives. And then in this section, the last part is the part for the activities. Already here, you need to go now in more details. Compared with the concept note, you need to devote at least one paragraph per activity, in which you will explain each activity, who will be involved, and giving more details for each particular activity. And also for each activities, you need to explain how that activity will contribute to achievement of the results and objectives. So presenting the connection of the activities with the results. And in this part, additionally, you need to explain the role of co-applicant if you have a co-applicant in the application. And at the end, you can explain also if there are some changes compared to the information provided in the concept note. When we are talking about changes, we think about some substantial changes, like changing the overall or specific objectives, or changing the topic or area. This is not allowed, actually. You need to stick to minor changes. For example, improving the logic of intervention is considered recommended change, actually. But changing the idea of the whole project is something which is not allowed, because your ideas has already been evaluated, and you have approval to go in the second stage because of your idea. So you need to keep to the initial idea and plan in the project. Do you have any comments or questions related to this first part of the full application? Anna?
Sorry, I bombarded you with questions today.
No, that's the idea of the session. Please feel free, you and all participants.
So I'll go back during the break. I did a bit of thinking, and I compared the concept note with the application that we are going to prepare. And in the concept note, we were pretty limited by the number of words that we were supposed to use in the concept note by its length. So at some points of the concept note, especially in the relevance of the project and in terms of analyzing the present situation, we use data without elaborating the data, but rather using hyperlinks to the publications or the sources where we have gathered that data from. Is it acceptable if in some parts of the project description we do the same? So for instance, if we're speaking about, I'll go back to the obesity example that we were talking about. So we say that 50% of young people aged 19 to 80 are considered obese. And now, without stating where we gather that information from, can we just link, for instance, the research or the data where we have gathered that information from, or should we state it directly? And I'm asking this due to the amount of words that we are about to use in order to plan it accordingly.
Yes, it is good to use references. So you can put references either in footnote where you get those data, or put a link in the text itself. But you need to take care not to, you are limited with number of words. So you need to keep to these instructions. For example, a relevance part should be maximum 400 words. So summarize what are most important thing for the needs analysis, for what you have identified, and add the link for extra information. That is good practice.
Okay, so in that case, everything we put in the footnotes will not be considered as exceeding the amount of words in the primary part, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Of course,
Okay, thank you.
you will put only links in the
Yes,
footnote,
yes.
or some numbers and so on. You won't put half a page in the
Yes,
footnote.
yes, of course. Thank you very much.
Okay. Other questions for the description part? Okay. I also put it here, which are related criteria, so you know these sections to which criteria refers. And you can at the end check whether you are in you have covered everything from the aspect of criteria also. Okay, then we can go on in the part 2.2, implementation approach. First section refers to methods of implementation. Talking about methods, we're referring to approaches that we are going to apply in the project. For example, whether we have research, analysis, experience sharing, knowledge, study trips, raising awareness, and so on. In a way, it seems like it is a repetition of the part section of activities, but it is not. Here, you need just to explain what are the methods and activities in general you are going to apply, and why you have decided to select this methodology. So you need to provide justification why you are doing a campaign, for example, or why you are doing research, or for why you have decided to go for a study trip, and why you haven't planned for training, because this is also related with the resources and the budget. So you need to justify what is the added value of having study trip compared to training, because training would be much cheaper than having a study trip, for example. So here you need to state what are the methodologies you are going to use and why you have selected that methodology. One reason could be your organizational capacities, for example. You have extensive experience in certain approach or methodology, and here you can explain that aspect, that you know how to do these things. Also here you can write in the cases when this project is part of the larger program or is related with another project that you are implementing at the moment. This is a good chance where you can also build your credibility related with the issue. And it's good to present some ongoing activities on the topic by describing these activities, because you will show here that you are the right organization and that you have experience and capacity to implement what you have planned. Then is the part for organizational structure and team composition. Here you will need to present how you will organize yourself related with this project, whether you will have project coordinator, project assistant, finance officer, and so on. So you need to explain which are the members, who are the members of your team, but also briefly explain the scope of work of each team member. So you need to explain who will be responsible for what. This is important in order evaluation committee to get the impression of the scope of work and to find out whether it is justifiable to have 3 or 4 members in the team. Also, you can go with people that are not 100% allocated to this project. You can go with half, with part-time, half working time, and so on in this section. Then is the section for role and participation in the project of different actors, and including here the co-applicants, if you have co-applicants. Based on the action plan presented in the timetable, here you need to describe the degree of involvement of partner organizations. And again, here you need to put justification. Why you have decided to have that roles in the project, or why is that partner particularly involved? And again, chance to make good credibility of you and your partners, stating that maybe they have knowledge in that sector or that specific team. They have in-house expertise and experience and capacities to cover that particular issue and activities. Then in the next part, you need to describe the planned monitoring arrangement, including explain which data will be collected, where and what methods for data collection will be used, describe how data will be analyzed, presented and reported, who will be responsible for monitoring, data gathering and reporting. Actually, here you need to explain the third column of the log frame, where you will state whether you are going to gather data from national sources, official statistics, how frequently you are going to do that, whether you are going to do some survey, as in the example we were looking at in the second session. And then here is the part for risks and mitigation measures. Here you need to identify key external factors. They may influence your project, and then plan corresponding measures. So you need to have plan B if some of the risks become a reality. Here you can think about maybe political situation, about what other stakeholders are doing, or something that depends on the government and other institutions. And good approach here is that you present risks in a format of a table. In the first column, you will explain what is the potential risk. And in the second column, you need to suggest what will be the measure that you will apply if that risk happens. And the last section here is the section for visibility. It is good to plan some activities that will recognize the donor contribution. At least you can plan to have, of course, logos on printed materials, which is actually required with the visibility guidelines that you will need to comply later when you implement the project. But here you can suggest some ideas how you are going to recognize Seldi and EU contribution. It may be in addition to logos and printed materials, some invitations to Seldi representatives to address at your events, some press conference specifically for this, and so on. So are there any questions related with the implementation approach? For the methods of implementation, structure, role of partners? Okay, seems everything is clear. Good. And then is the indicative work plan for implementation of the project. Here you need actually separate document, separate format. Let me show you that. Can you see the table? Or I need to stop share?
No,
No.
I can't see.
Okay, let me open. Yeah, I need to stop sharing. Then here is the table. I propose you are familiar with this form. It's called also Gantt chart, in which you are presenting activities in the project distributed in the time frame in months, starting from 1 to 12 months if your project is 1 year. Here you do not need to put calendar months, for example, January, February, or it is enough if you put 1, 2, 3, because it will depend when you are going to sign the contract. Then under the activities, you need to put only titles of the activities. You do not need to explain the activities because these are already explained in the section for activities in the full application. So just put titles and take care here to be consistent with the full application, with the text in the section for explaining the activities. For example, if you have training, you put training in all formats. Not training in the narrative part, then maybe here workshop, and then in the budget seminar. No, you need to use the same title in all sections of the application form and in all documents that you will submit. So take care about the consistency here. In the section for comments, here you can put whether you are implementing that activity or the activity will be implemented by the co-applicant, or maybe some other collaborator or associates will be involved in the implementation of activity. Do you have any questions related with the indicative work plan?
No.
No, it's clear. I'm sure you have prepared similar things for other projects. And then let's go back to the full application and see what we have remaining here. So the last section here is the sustainability of the project with 2 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you need to explain the impact of the project on the target group and beneficiaries. So here you will need to focus on the long-term effects of the project on final beneficiaries primarily, and how probable is that positive effects to continue after the completion of the project. I'm saying positive effects. It doesn't mean that necessarily the activities should continue after the project, but it should be obvious that there is sustainable change after the project. Also here you can explain what are the benefits on institutional level. For example, if there is chance to build some local ownership among the local stakeholders and then continue the practice that was established with the project, or some effects on political level. For example, if you will work on some change of legislation or some strategies and so on. And then in the second part, or in the second paragraph under the sustainability, you can explain some multiplying effects and experience sharing. Actually, it would be good if you can suggest or integrate within the activities some actions that can bring to some added value of your project. For example, some networking events where other stakeholders will learn what you are doing and maybe take that practice, or sharing of practices, transfer of knowledge to other stakeholders, and similar actions that can be either integrated in the existing activities or foreseen as separate activities in the project. Do you have any comments or questions related with the sustainability of the project? No. Okay, and then is the part for the budget, which is actually separate Excel format for that provided, and you need to prepare the budget in that format, and you will have a separate session for that. Okay. So once again, do you have anything we need to clarify at this stage related with the full application?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for the detailed explanation and everything. I think it's clear now, like how do we have to apply and everything. I just wanted to make sure we are going to get this document in Word after this training, or?
Yes, you will receive
Okay.
all the documents,
Okay,
including
good.
presentations.
Okay,
So
perfect.
you can refer while you are writing your proposal. For the
Yes,
end of this
exactly.
session, I also prepared a short presentation with some tips for writing successful application. I will briefly share that with you.
Okay, thank you.
So what is actually the process of writing the proposal? It is actually the process of trying to persuade the reader that you have a good project. And how process goes, this scheme is showing that idea. At the beginning, reader or the donor in this case has its own standpoint how the project should look, and you have your side. At the beginning, you need to get into the donor's shoes and to understand what the donor is requiring from the projects. But slowly, during the writing the proposal, you will try to convince the donor and bring the donor to your side, and to sell your project to the donor, convincing that you have the good idea, you have good approach, good methodology, and that you are the right organization to implement that project. And during that process of persuasion, you have several steps. First would be that you need to show that you are on the same side with the donor, and then try to write from their point of view to describe the problem, position, make clear that you accept the problem, that all this is not about your organization is to ensure some funds to survive, but actually you are the right organization that can help to solve the problem. Then you need to show that you understand the issue. So we already discussed a lot about that, finding relevant references, presenting relevant arguments, relevant data in the needs analysis. You will show that you understand the issue, but also with your previous experience, you presented in the concept note, but also again, you in the full application, you will find spaces where you can present that you have relevant previous experience and links with the other ongoing activities of your organization. And then you need to be objective. Don't use judgments and stick to the facts. And then when you are writing the paragraphs, please take care to have good structure of the whole application, but also of each individual paragraph. You need to have introduction of the paragraph, then main body, and then conclusion. In the introduction, you need to have opening statement or opening sentence with the summary of the paragraph. And then in the body, you will elaborate that summary, giving details, explanation, arguments in several sentences. And at the end, you will develop concluding sentence. Please take care your paragraphs not to be too long. 10 to 20 rows will be enough. Don't have paragraph whole page or 2 pages. So be concise. And then how you are organized and structured in the writing reflects actually whether you are organized in general. Saying that disorganized or illogical writing reflects disorganized, illogical mind. So please take care to leave good impression that you are well organized. So you use bullet points, use numbering in order to present that good structure of the text. And here are several writing tips. First relates to readability. Use active, avoid passive English. Then alternate long and short sentences. Avoid jargon. Be clear and concise and repeat only key points. It's good to have few key points, and it is good if you are repeating those key points, but please do not do that too frequently. For example, in the same paragraph, you are repeating the same thing 3 times. Then part 4, appropriateness. Be an expert, but with personality. What does this mean? Show that you know the topic, that you are an expert in that field, but also have an attitude. Personal attitude related how the problem can be approached. Then tailor the text to the situation, be polite, be sincere, because very soon you will be able to sign the contract and you need to implement what you have promised. And you won't have much time. 12 months is maximum, so be careful with what you promise in the project. Then take care about appearance. Do spelling and grammar check of the whole text. I had some examples when I was reading the project summary, which was 2 pages. The project was really very good, but at the end, in the summary, there were 15 spelling and grammar errors. So the impression is going down immediately when there are too many spelling errors. Then follow strictly the formats that are suggested to be used. Pay attention to the layout, how you use data. Maybe you can introduce some tables in order to be better structured and to have good presentation. Be consistent. I mentioned the example with the titles, but also be consistent whether you are using British or American English. For projects that are supported with through EU, then you need to use British English. And in any case, you shouldn't do both, either British or American. And then avoid paragraphs in bold and italic. You can use bold and italic, and it is recommended if you want to emphasize something, but not whole paragraph in bold or italic. It's very disturbing when you are reading such text. So take care about the appearance. Then avoid some phrases that with which you are not saying anything actually. For example, in other words or etc., especially too often, if you are using etc. Then our training courses are participatory. This is also again phrase that is not saying much. It's better to explain the approach that you are going to use during your training courses, and then reader will decide whether these are participatory or not. Avoid but and or, and use those only when there is contradiction. When you want to address to the reader, use one instead you. So avoid using you as pronoun. Here we are coming again to the format that is provided to you. Keep strictly to these formats that are provided, and please do not change anything in the format, and provide all the required information there. And here is a summary of some golden rules for the writing. Alternate long and short sentences, use active instead of passive, be as simple as possible, be careful with the jargon, edit and make it shorter. After you complete the whole application, please read it once again and try to make it shorter. Be polite, give sufficient supporting details through numbers, evidence, references, and so on. Give your opinion also. It will establish you as an expert with attitude. Be sincere and tailor the story to the situation. And at the end, some general recommendations. It is necessary to devote enough time to a quality application. This means if you haven't started with preparing the full application, you should start it already tomorrow. Because you need time for good application. You need to plan, you need to write, you need to edit, you need to check what you have written, and so on. Also, you need to prepare a budget that will correspond to the activities. So maybe you will go through the process several times actually. Because if you have been too ambitious in the narrative part, it will be reflected in the budget. And when you come to the budget, you will find out that you need to come back to the narrative part. Then it is also recommended that you fill the application as a team in line with the competencies. So someone can prepare the a timetable or the work plan, someone can write the narrative part, someone will write the problem analysis, someone will prepare the budget, and you need to integrate all that. And good recommendation here is that when you complete all this process, it is good to involve someone that haven't been involved in the writing, just to give you a feedback how clear, how concise the application is at the end. And take care that completing the application is not a formality. It's a crucial step now in the process, and you should devote enough attention to this. You were successful with the concept notes, but still there are a lot of things to be done yet. Okay, that is what I prepared for today. As we said, we will share all this with you, but before we close the session, we have some time left if you have anything to raise or something you need to clarify, either with me or maybe with Yasmina as well.
No, actually, it was perfectly explained. Thank you once again, Sunchitsa. And we are really looking forward to the materials so we can start writing the final application.
Okay. Some other comments,
Very
remarks?
Just to
Very
confirm that
informative, very concise. Thank you very much for the time you devoted and the attention in details that you devoted, because it was really helpful at the end to just check in how we are going on the process of writing the application.
I just want to add that the process was smoothly and going step by step. Sunchitsa, thanks for your guidance and be with all of development of the participants in the group. Thank you very much for your kindness.
Yeah, from me too. I share the same thoughts as the other colleagues. So thank you very much for everything. I think now we can start writing our full application, definitely.
Okay. Thank you all. It was thank you for the patience. It's really always a challenge when we have to do this online, when there is no natural communication. But okay, we prepared some materials and hope all this will be helpful for you. I wish you all the success with the full application, and good luck.
Thank you very much from
Thank
myself.
you so much.
Thank you very much, Sunchitsa, and thank you, colleagues,
Thank you very
being
much. Thank
interactive
you.
in this process, and see you on Thursday for the training on budget preparation.
Okay.
See
I'll
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks a
See
lot.
See you
you.
on Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.